there were two more questions regarding the consumer studies. One was probably simple to answer. What is the meaning on the colors of this map of Europe? And were there regional differences in consumer attitudes?
I didn't go into detail into to the colors in this presentation, but if we look to the situation in Europe, there's quite a diverse situation. So you have like Western European countries where there is castration with anesthesia or with pain relief, but also the production of bores or immunocastrates are completely introduced or partly introduced in some countries. So that's what the colors mean. But if you want to know more, you can also check the other presentation, and we will give some more information afterwards on the website as well about the current situation.
Yes, and I may wish to add that a publication was just released or will soon be released on this. Thank you, Mareike, for the moment. We are following the Q&A functionality and might come back. While the next question is on quality control. It was asked in the Padlet whether for all pig meat, so regardless whether it's male or female, detection at slaughter is needed to avoid unusual smells. And we have identified Maria Font from IRTA in Catalonia to answer this question. Maria.
Yes, thank you, Daniel. Yes, I think it would be important because it will help keep the consumers to like pork. But for the moment, what we are ready to detect is Wartane, and it is needed mainly in males because it is one of the most important of odors. This detection of Wartane, as you have seen in the presentation, can be done by several methodologies. Today, we can use the human nose, which is a sensory analytical evaluation. It is carried out by trained panelists to detect Wartane, and it has been used in several slaughter plants during years, even bigger slaughter plants, larger slaughter plants. Also, we can perform the scatol evaluation, the chemical scatol evaluation or equivalence, it has been done for a lot of years in Danish slaughter plants. And you have seen in the presentation that today it will be possible to chemically measure the androstenedione and the scatol with the system LDTD, MSMS, which can also be, it has the possibility to be fully automated. So this automation has been developed by the DTI. According to your questions, are all the unusual smells due to Wartane? I don't think so. And if we think that we need to evaluate, to detect this odor of others, then we need to work more on
it. Thank you, Maria. The next question that we picked from the Padlet, so the question that was asked before the conference, it was actually raised by several of the participants, and it is against the background of ongoing discussions in the EU whether immunocastration should be allowed or not in organic agriculture. And this question will be answered by Michel Bonneau from France. Michel.
Okay. My answer will be on 3 points. I will answer on naturalness, consumer safety, and consumer acceptance. Immunocastration does interfere with the natural process of sexual maturation. However, it does so less drastically than surgical castration, which is not reversible. Immunocastration is reversible, meaning that sexual maturation is delayed but not prevented. The vaccine should not be classified as a hormone-like substance, since it has been demonstrated to have no hormonal activity. Animals can experience some stress during the vaccination process, but this has to be compared with the pain during surgical castration without pain relief. We are not aware of any studies that compared the stress during the vaccination with the stress imposed by surgical castration with pain relief. Studies that have been conducted on the safety of the vaccine did not provide any indication of risk for the consumer. Finally, Marieke showed that consumers readily accept immunocastration when informed. My conclusion will be that in the present state of knowledge, there is no science-based evidence preventing the use of immunocastration in organic pig farming. That's it for me.
Thank you, Michel. We might come back to organic consumers soon thereafter. Mareike, maybe you can watch the Q&A. There is one question on acceptance of organic consumers, immunocastration. In the meantime, I would ask Catherine Lazul from France also, who was our workgroup leader on breeding. She will answer the question as to whether breeding efforts are being made against boar taint and also against aggressiveness. Catherine.
Yes, there are breeding companies that select against boar taint. Some are selecting more or less in all their breeds with different type of information, either on candidates or collected at slaughterhouse. Some made efforts, but only on 1 or 2 sire lines, because I think it's easier or more important to work on sire lines. But for aggressiveness, I think there are not many things that are done currently.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Catherine. Right earlier when the meeting started, I spotted a question from Niels Woods from Belgium, from Zoetis, that was regarding the fat quality. I'm not sure whether your question, Niels, was already answered by the presentation. We decided to give the word to Giuseppe and also to Martin to answer this. Giuseppe, you have to unmute yourself and then.
Yes, I can. The question is correct that in immunocastrates, or let's say the fat adipose tissue is can easily change the fatty acid composition. So it has been shown that within 2 weeks with appropriate feeding, you can change the fatty acid composition in pigs. So I would assume that in immunocastrates with this 4 weeks time lag between second vaccination and slaughter, by appropriate feeding strategies, you could control or get the fat quality you target. So like said, 15% of PUFA maximum and 70 IV values, I think that's feasible to do.
Martin, would there be anything that you wish to add from your end?
I think that Giuseppe has answered the question pretty well. I may just add there are some studies that are trying to test the delay between immunocastration and slaughter, and it is confirmed that after 7 weeks after second vaccination, the fatty acid composition is pretty much the same than with castrates. So modifying the delay may be a very good option in addition to nutrition.
Okay, thank you, Martin. I'm going through the Q&A and see what has been collected. There is a question from Laura van Voren, which is more or less on entire males are stated to have a better growth performance, and is this due to feed conversion? Who of you is going to answer that? I think, Giuseppe, this could be yours.
Yes, I don't think that boars or entire males are growing faster, but they are more feed efficient. That's for sure, because they, due to their high protein deposition potential and low fat deposition potential, they are very, very feed efficient. But that doesn't mean that they grow faster. They are growing more efficient. Mm-hmm. That's my answer.
Giuseppe, if we have you on the phone, on the mic, there is one other question from Jan Fuchs, that entire males are more active, and the question is whether they are more susceptible for tail biting. Do we have evidence for that?
Actually, that probably Abby has more experience on that. At least in our experiments, we didn't see that they bite more. But I don't have any ideas on that. Abby might have more information.
Yeah, to my knowledge, there is no systematic study on that regarding tail biting and entire males. It's a general problem. If you don't provide the resources for pigs, if you don't keep them busy with enrichment materials, it's a matter of space. And many of the recommendations actually that what we came up for entire males, how to house and manage them, are very similar to that in general to pigs in terms of the tail biting problem. So the recommendations on housing and management are very similar. But to my knowledge, again, there's no systematic study on comparisons of the incidences of higher incidences of tail biting in entire males.
Thank you, Abby. Mareike, I would like to come back to you, as there is one question again on the acceptance of immunocastration by consumers of organic products. Is there evidence on that?
Well, in fact, what we see is that the acceptability is comparable to other consumers. So in general, the highest acceptability is found for castration with anesthesia, followed by immunocastration and production of boars. And this is quite the same between organic consumers and the regular consumers. So there is no sign that it would be lower for organic consumers.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Mareike. Michelle, you already indicated that you want to answer one question that was raised by Philip Sachs. The question is, what are the arguments against castration with anesthesia as a long-term solution? Michelle.
Yes, I think I can give some points. The first one is that castration with anesthesia is resource inefficient. As inefficient as surgical castration without anesthesia. And to that, you have to add cost to perform the anesthesia. The second point is that to effectively prevent pain, it's quite difficult. You have to prevent pain during the castration procedure using anesthesia, and you also have to prevent pain for a couple or 3 days after the surgery to prevent remaining pains. And finally, there are regulatory issues. Not all drugs are allowed in each country. Maybe Abby could add something on that.
Sorry, now you can hear me. Yeah, it's a very complicated issue, as Michelle said, and there are many constant also arguments before one or another method. So that's the reason why also Michel in his introduction said we consider it as a short-term or intermediate solution because there is no perfect management system where you can ensure to 100% that pigs are not stressed or do not feel pain. You have to consider it's not only the pain involved in the castration, but it's also very stressful. If you have a general anesthesia, for example, you have a very good pain, so the animal does not feel any pain. But on the other hand, you have a very long-term negative influence. They are less, for example, they have a long sleeping time and they are less competitive with their litter mates, with their female litter mates for suckling behavior. So to make it short, it's very complicated, and I can offer you many good papers on that. that summarize the pros and cons about this issue, but it's also, of course, an economic thing and also legal requirements, because some procedures can only be done by vets, others by farmers, and it's very difficult to get a grip on it, to control whether it's done in the right way, and therefore we consider it as an intermediate and a more risky thing for at this time.
Thank you, Abby. I would like to pick another question, which is from Sam Millet from Belgium. And this question is probably a perfect one for both Giuseppe and Martin. It's on fat quality and how to find a solution to modify the fat quality after the second vaccination by increasing lard content. Would this be an option to optimize the fat quality?
I don't think to increase it, but for sure to change it, because Sam asked switching from soy oil to lard or something like that. That's for sure. That would help to decrease the amount of polyunsaturated fatty acids in the diet, and that will certainly decrease their incorporation rate. So if you have the possibility to change the diet after the second vaccination, and there appears to be also very economic to do that, because then you can save not just, or you can save also protein, then it would be advised to change also the source of fat you have included in the diet. And then by that you can alter the fatty acid composition of the back fat, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Martin, is this sufficiently answered, or do you want to add anything?
Not much, but to my opinion, the process of immunocastration is very well effective in raising saturation itself. Probably nutrition helps, but if you apply immunocastration, I think it's quite a good option by itself.
Thank you. We have another question which is on acceptability, but this time it's not about consumers' acceptability, but farmers' acceptability of the different alternatives. Are there any new studies on this? Mareike, would you be the right one to answer this?
Well, in the study that we did, we also included stakeholders, so farmers were also included, and in general we see that acceptability of castration without pain relief is still a bit higher compared to the other respondent groups. So I think that's the first conclusion, and probably the most important one if we compare it to the other alternatives. Immunocastration, the acceptability of immunocastration and castration with anesthesia was quite comparable between the farmers and the general public. Only the acceptability of boars was slightly lower.
Okay, thank you. I see while going through the questions that there were quite some questions again on the use of immunocastration in organic production. I think we have sufficiently answered that. And there is a very general one from Nancy, whether the presentations will be shared with the participants. Yes, we do share the presentations. We will record the whole webinar, so you could take time again and watch both the video and also the question and answer session. What do we have? There is one question which regards meat safety, probably. I'm not sure whether maybe you can help me to spot this one. What is best in the meat? Lactic acid or lidocaine? Does any one of you wish to answer that one? Not really. So let us say what we mentioned in the very beginning, questions that are not being picked up in this Q&A session. will be looked after once the meeting has ended. I'm having a look at my clock, and we are perfectly in time. So thank you so far also for participating by raising questions. I'm very sure that now that we come to our stakeholder panel discussion, that also more questions will pop up, and I will give the word to Ray Bacchus now.